Spanning over 25,000 acres, featuring the best collection of theme parks on Earth, planning a visit to Walt Disney World is a journey filled with excitement, but with so many different things beginners have to get to grips with, can also spark a whirlwind of anxiety. Hi, I'm the Frugal Brit, and in this video I'll provide an updated beginner's guide to visiting Walt Disney World in 2024, demystifying all the complicated bits and bobs, including step-by-step guides of Genie Plus, lightning lanes, virtual queues, tickets, transportation, dining and more. Without further ado, let's dive in. So what is Walt Disney World? It's an expansive and iconic entertainment complex located in Orlando, Florida. It is 25,000 acres in size. To put that into perspective, that's twice the size of Manhattan and 25 times the size of Universal Orlando Resort. Its origins date back to the early 60s, when Mr. Walt Disney sought to create a destination well beyond the confines of Disneyland in Anaheim, California, originally intended to be a futuristic city, plans evolving into a giant theme park resort complex following his untimely death. So today, this vast expanse of Disney property includes 4 theme parks, 2 water parks, golf courses, a dedicated sports complex, and more than 25 different hotels. What sets Walt Disney World apart from most other theme park resorts is not just its sheer size, but its unique combination of storytelling, attention to detail, and commitment to the guest experience, although tempting to say less committed in recent years. So now I'll give you a quick rundown of each park, but if you wanted a more detailed guide to all lands and attractions, I recommend checking out these videos that I recently made, which I'll link to in the description. It makes sense to start with the first park, which is Magic Kingdom, Disney World's flagship park, which built upon the foundations laid by Disneyland California. The park is divided into 6 distinct lands, all centered around the iconic Cinderella Castle. Guests enter the park into Main Street, USA, greeting visitors with its nostalgic portrayal of early 20th century American towns, leading towards the castle. Adventureland provides a lush, exotic escape with attractions like the Jungle Cruise and Pirates of the Caribbean. Frontierland celebrates the pioneering spirit of the American West, and soon to be enhanced by the addition of Tiana's Bayou Adventure, the replacement for Splash Mountain, set to open later in the year. The Liberty Square Land reflects the colonial American spirit, home to the Haunted Mansion's ghostly residents. Fantasyland is the heart of fairy tales, where classic attractions like Peter Pan's Flight and the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train bring beloved stories to life. Tomorrowland provides a nostalgic vision of the future, showcasing innovation and excitement with attractions like Space Mountain and the new Tron Light Cycle Run high-speed coaster, which offers a thrilling race through a digital landscape. Rounding out the day at Magic Kingdom with the Happily Ever After nighttime spectacular is almost a rite of passage, capturing the essence of Disney World's magic through its stunning pyrotechnics and melodies that stir the soul. For the second theme park, we'll head for the centre of the map for the Epcot theme park, which is divided into 4 neighbourhoods that celebrate human achievement, technological innovation and international cultures. The park has reached a bit of a milestone this year, with the majority of the construction walls down, signalling a near-complete revitalisation. At the park's entrance, guests are greeted by the iconic spaceship Earth Sphere, which houses an educational ride tracing human communication history. Other highlights in this side of the park include Test Track, a high-speed simulation experience. There's the Soarin' Around the World high-flying simulator, and the Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind Family Coaster, the park's super headliner attraction. Then there's the all-new Journey of Water walkthrough attraction, inspired by the Moana movie, which offers an engaging exploration of the natural water cycle. The remaining neighbourhood for Epcot is the famous World Showcase, which presents a cultural exposition with pavilions from 11 countries around a large lagoon, each pavilion showcasing architecture, landscapes, shops, restaurants, and entertainment reflective of its respective country. The most popular attraction over here is the Frozen Ever After boat ride, inviting guests into the magical world of Arendelle. Epcot's new Luminous, the Symphony of Us nighttime show, illuminates the sky with a dazzling display of fireworks, music and lightning effects. Epcot is also famous for its seasonal events, including the International Flower and Garden Festival in the spring and the Epcot International Food and Wine Festival in the fall. A relatively short distance away from Epcot is the Hollywood Studios Park, a tribute to the magic of Hollywood, formerly known as MGM Studios, and is divided into 7 themed areas, each designed to bring different aspects of Hollywood to life. Toy Story Land shrinks visitors down to the size of a toy, allowing them to explore Andy's backyard with Woody and Buzz Lightyear. The Star Wars Galaxy's Edge Land transports guests to the planet of Batuu, offering an immersive experience in the Star Wars universe, complete with a chance to pilot the Millennium Falcon. The Rise of the Resistance ride offers the chance to join the Resistance in one of the most immersive theme park attractions you'll ever experience, and remains one of Disney's most popular rides. The Twilight Zone, Tower of Terror and Rock and Roller Coaster over in Sunset Boulevard provide additional thrills in the opposite side of the park. In addition to the rides, Hollywood Studios offers a diverse array of live performances, from high-energy stunt spectacles to musical productions, immersing guests into the magic of the movies. The remaining theme park is Animal Kingdom, located over to the far west of the map, themed to the world's natural environments and animal conservation, spanning 580 acres, divided into 6 lands, the African savanna taking up most of the park's acreage. Each area is designed to immerse guests into a specific environment, from the African savanna to the alien world of Pandora from the Avatar movie series. Attractions range from the Avatar Flight of Passage and Expedition Everest to educational exhibits and wildlife tours such as Kilimanjaro safaris, which allows guests to observe live animals and habitats that closely mimic their natural environments. It's also home to the Tree of Life at the centre of the park, a massive artificial tree that serves as the park's central hub and symbol. A huge part of the magic of Walt Disney World comes from meeting your favourite Disney characters, from classic characters like Mickey Mouse and Cinderella to modern favourites from Pixar and Star Wars. In this section, I'll provide an overview of the different ways in which you can meet characters at Disney World. For a personal touch, the traditional meet and greets provide a one-on-one interaction with Disney characters. With the spotlight on you, you're encouraged to chat, pose for photos, and even share a laugh with the characters. These encounters typically take place in set locations, with times conveniently listed on the My Disney Experience app. To optimise your time, I'd recommend avoiding mid-morning rushes for the meet and greet. If the times show the characters available later in the day, I'd consider scheduling your visit accordingly to sidestep the longer queues. For those that prefer not to spend precious park hours queuing, characters also grace parades and shows. These provide a less intimate but engaging encounters. One of the more convenient ways to meet characters at Disney World is to reserve a table at a character dining location without the wait of a queue. Whilst notoriously pricier than typical dining locations, the convenience and joy of having characters visit your table is often worth the splurge. Moving on to the water parks, we'll start with the Blizzard Beach Park, a short distance to the right of Animal Kingdom. Renowned for its unique snowy theme, it's designed to resemble a ski resort that's peculiarly melted into a watery wonderland, offering guests a whimsical backdrop to their aquatic adventures. Providing a range of attractions from its serene lazy river and gentle wave pools to its high-speed water slides. The centrepiece is Mount Gushmore, which serves as the launch point for some of the park's most exhilarating slides, including Summit Plummet, one of the tallest and fastest free-falling body slides. For our final park, we'll head to the south of the map for the vibrant and tropical-themed Typhoon Lagoon water park. Its theme revolves around a fictional typhoon that wreaked havoc on a once pristine tropical paradise, leaving behind an array of water-filled attractions and shipwrecks for guests to explore. The centrepiece of the park is its massive wave pool, one of the largest in the world. Other attractions include a variety of water slides, ranging from mild to wild, and a lazy river that encircles the park, similar to Blizzard Beach. For this part of the video, I'll give you a guide to the different hotel resort options available for visiting Disney World. The on-site options ranging from value, moderate to deluxe, which translates to expensive, really expensive, and really, really expensive. Starting with the value resorts, the most affordable on-site accommodations, which provide basic amenities but larger-than-life theming tailored for young families. They feature fairly basic swimming pools and dining options, typically spread out in a motel style, often requiring a bit of a walk outside to get from your room to the amenities. Guests at all resorts can take advantage of the complimentary bus transportation, and guests staying at the Art of Animation and Pop Century benefit from the excellent Skyliner transportation, which takes you to and from both Epcot and Hollywood Studios. I'll be covering both in more detail later in the video. The rooms at the value resorts average at around 260 square feet. Very basic amenities. You also have large family suites in the Art of Animation Resort that sleep up to 6 people, but they are very pricey. There's also a limited number of family suites in the All-Star Music Resort. All on-site resort guests, including the value hotels, benefit from early theme park entry, which allows guests to enter any of the 4 parks 30 minutes before the official opening time every day of the week. This is considered by many to be the main perk to staying on-site, providing a head start for many popular attractions, but not all. To get the most out of this, I recommend getting to the park around 45 minutes before the scheduled early theme park entry starts. Whilst we haven't covered it yet, on-site guests get a big advantage when it comes to making individual lightning lane selections. I'll be explaining what this means later in the video. The remaining on-site benefit is for dining reservations. So for standard guests, you can reserve a table 60 days in advance of the day you're visiting, but on-site guests are able to reserve a table 60 days in advance of the first day of their hotel booking, which obviously rewards those staying for longer. In the middle are the 4 moderate resorts, which offer more refined theming and landscaping, with less focus on Disney IP and enhanced dining options. The pools are a noticeable upgrade, with additional amenities like water slides and hot tubs. For the most part, the rooms share the same externally accessed layout like the values, with Port Orleans French Quarter being an exception. The rooms are 314 square feet, offering queen beds, larger than the double beds offered in the values. For transportation, I should mention that the Caribbean Beach Resort also has Skyliner access, and the two Port Orleans hotels have the water taxi that takes you over to Disney Springs. The remaining category is the Deluxe Resort, containing 9 hotels. You also have the Disney Vacation Club Resorts, which are also classed as deluxe. For the most part, these resorts are meticulously themed, from the Victorian elegance of the Grand Floridian to the rugged wilderness of Disney's Wilderness Lodge. The theming is not just in the decor, but extends to the music, scent, and even the staff uniforms. One of the main advantages of staying at a deluxe resort is the convenience it offers. Many of these resorts are located within walking distance or a short monorail, boat, or bus ride to the parks. For instance, guests staying at Disney's Contemporary Resort can walk to the Magic Kingdom, and the resorts on Crescent Lake enjoy easy access to Epcot and Disney's Hollywood Studios. This of course saves time, but also adds a layer of flexibility to your trip, allowing for easy returns to the resort for a midday break. The Deluxes offer sophisticated dining options, from award-winning fine dining experiences to character meals. In most cases, the pools are more impressively themed, the Stormalong Bay found at the Beach and Yacht Club being a prime example. Beyond the pools, guests can enjoy a variety of recreational options such as boat rentals, fishing excursions, horseback riding, and full-service spas. Another benefit for the Deluxes is the extended evening hours, where guests can stay an extra 2 hours in the evening 2 times a week, but only available at one park at a time. Alternatively, guests may want to consider staying at an off-site hotel. Prices are substantially lower, often 2 to 3 times cheaper for the equivalent luxury and amenities. But you do miss out on a bit of convenience, as well as the magic of the Disney bubble. But you can compensate for the lack of early theme park entry by using the line skipping services, which I'll be covering later in the video. If you're wondering which to pick, whilst not crucial, staying on site is the best way to experience Disney World. However, I do think it's worth noting, especially for my fellow Brits and international visitors, that exploring the local area outside of the Disney parks offers a unique cultural experience that might not hold the same allure for domestic travellers. Primary off-site locations to consider are Lake Buena Vista, Kissimmee, and the International Drive resort areas. The latter is especially convenient for those planning to venture to Universal Orlando as well. Another option would be to use Airbnb or another vacation home rental service. Whilst these require more travel time to the parks, they provide significantly larger accommodations, so often a great choice for larger groups. Once you've made your decision to visit Walt Disney World, there's several key points to consider. We'll start with the number of days you want to spend. For first timers, I recommend booking at least 5 days to fully enjoy the parks, but if you're travelling from overseas, then I'd say you'd want to get closer to a minimum of 10 days. If you plan to visit other parks, then ideally first timers would be stretching that to 2 weeks. Choosing the time of year to visit is an important consideration. Ticket prices, hotel prices and wait times will be higher during the peak periods. This crowd calendar should help if you want to work around that. I've noticed prices are often cheapest in January from the second week. I often visit in May with the family, which has a nice balance of crowds and atmosphere. But it is pretty hot and humid. August has the most green days, partly due to Florida kids going back to school after the first week. But the Florida weather is at its hottest and rainiest in this month, and with increased risk of hurricanes. Despite this, it's a popular time for Brits with kids to visit, as the crowds are low and you don't have to take the kids out of school. September is similar to August in terms of crowds, which is when Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party is held until the end of October. Temperatures will cool in November and December, but still warm enough for the water parks on most days. The parks will be adorned with festive decorations, with Magic Kingdom hosting the Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party and Hollywood Studios hosting the new Jollywood Nights event. Be warned that December, especially the week before Christmas through New Year's, is the busiest time of year to visit. If you're wondering where to book your trip, I recommend booking hotels directly from Disney after taking a look at the special discounts. The good thing about this is that if a better discount comes in later down the line, you can always phone Disney back up and they'll happily apply the latest discount offers. Some prefer to use a travel agent who can do this on your behalf. For off-site hotels, many will prefer the security of using a big travel company, but I find that I tend to get the best prices using Google's hotel search feature. Although this does involve risk, as the cheapest quote will often be from a lesser-known company that may not have the best customer service reputation. If something goes wrong, you will wish you'd gone with one of the market leaders. Whilst it's rarely the cheapest, I do quite like Expedia for their flexible cancellation policy when booking hotels. For flight, I recommend using Kayak or Skyscanner to find the best deals. The ones quoted on the Disney site will never be the cheapest. Again, you have the same risks in terms of which company you go through. When it comes to purchasing park tickets directly from Disney, first you'll need to select how many days you want to visit, with the price per day decreasing the more days you purchase. Then you'll need to decide when to visit. As covered earlier, prices will vary based on crowd levels. Once you've decided on how many days, you'll come to these options. The first one is the 1 park per day, which as you'd expect means you can only visit one of the parks per day. If you want the option to visit one of the water parks on your trip, you should select this one instead. Do note though that Disney recently announced that on-site resort guests will get free access to the water parks in 2025. Next we have the park hopper option, which allows you to visit more than one park per day. This was complicated in the years since the pandemic when you had to have pre-booked reservations for each day of your visit. However, this reservation requirement was removed for date-based tickets, which will be the vast majority of people watching this video, I suspect. This system had caused a lot of planning uncertainties and limited spontaneity, so a much appreciated change from Disney. So now you can park hop from any time without having to wait until after 2 PM for your second park. Then there's the Park Hopper Plus option, which allows you to park hop both the theme parks and the water parks. For those that prefer a more relaxed experience, Disney offers after-hours special event tickets for Magic Kingdom, Epcot and Hollywood Studios during certain times in the year, which I'll link to in the description. Whilst many prefer the simplicity and security of purchasing tickets directly from Disney, those looking for savings might want to look into purchasing from an authorised third-party ticket vendor. Some popular providers include Undercover Tourist, Best of Orlando and Park Savers. However, when things go wrong, such as a hurricane or a global pandemic interrupting your trip, refunds are harder to come by with third-party vendors, it seems. For European visitors, there's the exclusive 14-day ticket option, which is not available to purchase in the US. This ticket includes park hopping, access to the water parks, and Memory Maker at no extra charge, which is great. They do offer a 7-day version, but it's the same price as the 14-day ticket, so there's no point as it's just a marketing ploy to keep you away from Universal. The market leaders in the UK and Ireland are Florida Tix and Attraction Tickets, as well as the lesser-known OrlandoAttractions.com. It's easy to get the wrong site with the latter, so make sure you use this address. I've had good experiences with all three, but always worth checking which is the cheapest when it's time to purchase. For Europeans that only want to visit for a day or two, you'll probably need to purchase tickets when you're in the US, unfortunately, unless you use a VPN in incognito mode. It's likely when booking Disney World that you'll come across travel packages that bundle hotel and tickets, and you may be wondering if these are worth it. Whilst you'll get good deals on the hotel, I recommend avoiding travel packages as you tend to overpay on the tickets slightly, and you can still get the same hotel discount without the tickets, which you can purchase elsewhere for cheaper, although some will prefer this for the simplicity. Nowadays, it's essential for guests to make use of Disney's online services for every trip, which will require getting set up with My Disney Experience. In this section, I'll take you through how to do that using a computer, but you can also do it on your phone. First, you'll want to visit the Disney World website, hover over to the My Disney Experience text, then click on My Plans. This will look slightly different when logging in from overseas. You can then create your My Disney Experience profile. Once you've set this up, you'll need to add the confirmation numbers for your Disney hotel resort reservations and theme park tickets for you and your friends and family. For adults 13 and older, you'll have the option to invite them to have their own account, which will allow them to co-manage your linked plans during your trip. If they already have an account, just make sure that you use the same email address as the account they're using. Next, you'll want to download the My Disney Experience app on your phone. After logging in, we'll tap the menu button on the bottom right, then tap Tickets and Passes. Your tickets should then be available. I recommend then adding the tickets to your device, which makes things easier when you're trying to enter the parks, as you can just hold your phone next to the touch point. In previous years, this is where I'd cover the park reservations. However, as mentioned earlier, these are no longer required for date-based tickets. With your tickets and hotel reservations all set up and linked to My Disney Experience, you have the option of purchasing one of Disney's magic bands. These primarily serve as wearable room keys and park tickets, amongst a few other things which I'll provide more detail on in the video description. Personally, I prefer to just use my smartwatch or phone. Now it's time to learn all about Genie Plus and Lightning Lanes, which is what I think causes the most anxiety for beginners. In this chapter, I'll do my best to demystify this complicated and often frustrating system, which is used to reduce wait times for those willing to pay the extra costs. This latest system involves Disney Genie, Genie Plus, individual Lightning Lane selections, and virtual queues, which are all managed inside the My Disney Experience phone app. These services replace the former FastPass Plus system, which was completely free, so the change has not been well received as you might expect. We'll start with Disney Genie, not to be confused with Genie Plus. This is your complimentary planning tool. To access it, navigate to the home screen, select My Disney Genie Day, and follow the prompts to input your visit date, chosen park and party size. Disney queries your preferences, covering attractions to dining interests, to craft a personalised itinerary. However, I find its suggested itineraries to be not the best, as I think most people would agree. What I'll tend to do is only pick the top priority attractions to streamline the reservation processes for Genie Plus or individual Lightning Lane selections, which will hopefully make sense later in this chapter. So that's Disney Genie covered. Let's move on to explaining what a Lightning Lane is. So pretty much every ride at all 4 theme parks will have a standby line, which is the normal queue, as well as a Lightning Lane queue for those that want to pay extra to not have to queue in the standby line. But here's where it gets a bit confusing. So there's 2 separate paid services to skip the queues at Disney World, and one of those services is called Individual Lightning Lane Selection Service, despite both of these services using a Lightning Lane. So already things are getting pretty confusing. To use a Lightning Lane on 95% of Disney World attractions, guests will need to pay for the Genie Plus service, which lets guests jump the queue. Then for the remaining super headliner rides, you'll need to pay for the Individual Lightning Lane Selection Service. Important to note, when purchasing either of these services, you'll still have to queue for 20 minutes when you enter the Lightning Lane, and Disney cast members will alter the flow of the adjacent standby line so that it doesn't fluctuate much above or below 20 minutes. So now I'm going to explain in more detail how these services work. I'll start with the simpler individual Lightning Lane selections. This is Disney's pay-per-ride service that lets guests skip the line 1 attraction per purchase. It's an a la carte skipping service, sort of like how a pay-per-view would work, with prices ranging between $12 and $20 depending on demand. Do note that you can make a maximum of 2 purchases of these per day, and you can't ride the same attraction twice. Currently, there's 1 headliner attraction from each park that uses individual Lightning Lane selections, with the exception of Magic Kingdom, which has 2. These eligible attractions will change year to year in response to the opening of a new popular attraction. So now I'll take you through the steps of how to purchase individual Lightning Lane selections. Guests are able to pay and reserve one of these attractions from the official time that the parks open, and you'll want to do this within seconds of park opening time to give yourself the best chance of getting a reservation. For example, if Magic Kingdom opens at 9 AM, then you need to have the app open a few minutes before 9, regardless of whether you're in the park. If you're a guest at any of Disney's resort hotels during the day you intend to visit, then you can make your reservations from 7 AM on the day. This provides a big advantage over day guests, as selections will often be sold out before they're released to day guests, as is still often the case with Rise of the Resistance. Here's the process for reserving a Lightning Lane. First, open up the app, then you need to find the tip board. We now need to make sure that the correct park is selected, so we'll tap on Change Park, then we'll click on Animal Kingdom for this demonstration. We can now scroll through the list of Animal Kingdom's attractions. Flight of Passage is the only individual Lightning Lane selection ride here, which is why it says individual Lightning Lane instead of Genie Plus. We can see the earliest time you can experience this ride when you tap this. You can select a later return time if preferred. Make sure you only select the right members of your party, but if you do mess this up, guest services should be able to remove people in the park. Following this, it's pretty straightforward. You'll just need to review the details and purchase. When it comes to redeeming your Lightning Lane, you simply arrive at the touch point and tap in with your magic band, or hover your phone or watch next to it. And that concludes my tutorial on how to use the individual Lightning Lane selection service. Next, we'll move on to the Genie Plus service, which, unlike individual Lightning Lane selections, has many similarities with the old FastPass Plus system, but with some crucial differences. Those being that resort guests don't get an advantage with the service, the most popular rides are not included, you have to pay for it, and you don't make reservations weeks in advance. However, Disney has announced that this last one is going to change. We don't know exactly when, but we are expecting the ability to make Genie Plus reservations in advance of our trips at some point down the line. It could be that this has already changed as you're watching this video, so do check my updates and corrections section in the video description. One change that we have seen implemented is date-based pricing, so it will cost more on busier days. We now also have per park pricing, with Magic Kingdom and Hollywood Studios typically costing more. Additionally, using it with multiple parks will cost extra. So nowadays, prices range from $15 to $40. What you get for this price is the ability to make an indeterminate number of reservations to skip the standby queue, but you can't reserve the same ride more than once. Disney likes to limit guests' expectations to 2 to 3 attractions per day with this service, but you can ride more than this with the right strategies. However, availability for the popular attractions will go very quickly, so strategy is important and sacrifices will need to be made. So now I'll talk you through the process of how to purchase and use Genie Plus. At the time of making this this video, you can only pay for it on the day of your visit from 12 AM. It's worth emphasizing that I mean 12 AM and not PM. You'll need to repeat this every day that you want to use it. For reasons that will become clear later in the video, you'll want to pay for Genie Plus before 7 AM. So for your first attempt, I'd give yourself 20 minutes to do this. So at 6:40ish, we'll go into the My Disney Experience app, navigate over to the tip board. You'll then see the option to purchase Genie Plus for that day. Next, check the guests which you want to purchase the service for before confirming your payment information. Pretty straightforward. Until the clock strikes 7 AM, there's nothing else you can do at this time, but I'd recommend making sure that the correct park is selected and that you have a clear idea of which attraction you want to aim for first, as there's no time to hesitate. Here's a list of Genie Plus attractions that you should prioritise. So from 6:59 onwards, you need to be constantly refreshing. You'll know it's gone live because it will change from saying this to giving you the option to book. So these return times are an hour-long window of when you can tap into the attraction. The way it works is as people make their reservations, the return windows will get later and later throughout the day as people get them booked up. However, due to cancellations and recalculated forecasting, Disney will frequently refresh the availability throughout the day, which will occasionally provide earlier return windows. Last year, Disney introduced the Modify option, which allows you to either pick an earlier return time if available, or alternatively, you can swap the attraction for something else. In terms of the process of making Genie Plus reservations, as soon as the window is open, you'll need to act super quickly. The popular attractions will show later return times because they get booked up fast, and you'll find that the times will change constantly around 7 AM, and for the super popular attractions, you should expect further changes once you go through the confirmation process, unfortunately. But once confirmed, your reservations will be displayed in the My Day tab. You'll be given a ride reservation with a 1-hour window, but you can arrive 5 minutes early or up to 15 minutes late, but strictly enforced outside of these windows. You'll redeem your reservations in the park the same way as the individual Lightning Lane selections, using your phone, smartwatch or Magic Band. The next question is, when are you able to make your next reservation? So there's two things that will trigger this. The first is tapping into the attraction touchpoint for your most recently booked reservation. The second is the 2-hour rule. The first rule is pretty straightforward. As soon as you tap into the most recently booked reservation, crucially it has to be the most recently booked one, then you can make your next reservation. The 2-hour rule is slightly more confusing. So what it means is that you can make your next reservation 2 hours after the time you booked your last reservation. The only exception to this is for any reservations made before the park opened. So if I were to book a reservation at 7 AM, which many people do, I'm not able to book my next reservation 2 hours after I book this, as the 2-hour rule will just start from the time that the park opens. So these are the two triggers, and it's whichever arrives first that allows you to make your next reservation. At this point, I would want to briefly touch on the stacking strategy. So when taking advantage of the 2-hour rule, there's nothing stopping guests from stacking their reservations for later in the day, even with overlapping return times. This is a really good strategy to pick up the popular attractions and for those not wanting to arrive at the park first thing in the morning. Thankfully, I don't need to teach you guys about how the Park Pass reservation system affects Genie Plus, as that will only affect annual pass holders who are unlikely to be watching. So that's hopefully everything covered for Genie Plus. If you're wondering whether purchasing this is essential, the answer is definitely no. It's a nice to have service, but not essential. I do really dislike it because of its complexity, but I will confess to using it when I'm with the family roughly 50% of the time. Next, we have the virtual queue system. This is Disney's way to reduce wait times and organise crowd flow on what tends to be its newer, more popular attractions that can struggle with wait times, which in 2024 is Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind in Epcot and Tron Light Cycle Run in Magic Kingdom. I would also speculate that they'll introduce it for Tiana's Bayou Adventure when that opens. Unless you pay for individual Lightning Lane selections, the virtual queue is the only way to access these attractions. So effectively, this system allows you to enter a virtual queue without having to physically stand in line for the majority of the queue. The way this works is you'll have the opportunity to join the virtual queue at 7 AM. There's also a second round available at 1 PM provided you've checked into the park. For the 7 AM distribution, these will get used up usually within the first 6 seconds, so you better be quick. Fortunately, outside of the busy periods, the availability at 1 PM lasts for a lot longer. So to get started, aiming for the 7 AM distribution, let's open the My Disney Experience app at around 6:55. Tap Home, then scroll down to the Join Virtual Queue section. Tap Join Virtual Queue, you'll then be asked to confirm your party. Make sure the correct members are selected. From 6:59, you'll want to tap the refresh button constantly until it's live. you'll know that it's live when it changes from a refresh button to a blue join virtual queue button, which is obviously when you'll need to act as quick as you can, ignoring everything else. If you're successful for a boarding group, you'll be given an expected time to experience the attraction. This has been known to change dramatically in both directions, so always keep an eye on it. When your boarding group is called, you'll have an hour to get on the ride. If you were not successful with a 7 AM distribution, then you can give it another try at 1 PM, which is a lot easier to get, just as long as you're willing to return much later in the day. Worth mentioning that for Tron, the experience is much better at night under the upload canopy. Navigating the expanse of Walt Disney World is a huge part of your trip. Thankfully, there's a number of different transportation options available to guests, which I'll take you through in this chapter. I'll start with airport transportation. Disney no longer offers the complimentary Magical Express service for on-site guests, I'm afraid. The spiritual successor to Magical Express is the Mears Connect service, which offers one-way or round-trip options. There's also some other airport bus services which I'll link to in the video description. For groups of 3 or more, I'd actually suggest using a ride-sharing service like Uber or Lyft instead. Prices seem to range between $45 and $60 going out, but tends to be nearly half the price for the return journey to the airport. I believe there's also an option to request a vehicle with car seats for children. Here's a snapshot of the child restraint laws in Florida. Those preferring the flexibility of driving themselves have the option of renting a car. Fortunately, prices do seem to have dropped a bit since the initial post-pandemic surge. I'll leave some links in the description for recommended car hire firms on both sides of the Atlantic. Important to note though, Orlando's theme parks are notorious for their hefty parking fees. Here's what it costs at the time of making this video per day. Fortunately, Disney has gone back to allowing free parking for on-site resort guests. The backbone of Walt Disney World's transportation is its bus system, which offers a complimentary, free service connecting all theme parks, Disney Springs and the resort. You don't have to be an on-site resort guest to use these buses. You can use them for free when park hopping. The buses run approximately every 20 minutes, starting 45 minutes prior to early theme park entry until 1 hour after park closing. Wait times do vary, but expect a 20-minute wait on average for each bus. The extensive bus network is impressive, but it's not uncommon for on-site guests to complain about these wait times, especially during peak times. Additionally, the crowded buses can lead to a less than comfortable journey. Transportation over to the Magic Kingdom can be a bit tricky if you're not staying on site. When travelling by car, you won't be dropped off at the front gates. Instead, you'll be directed to the Magic Kingdom parking at the Transportation and Ticket Centre, or TTC for short. The parking here is ginormous, so make a note of where you're parked. The sections are named after Disney characters. Once parked up, you'll make your way over to the TTC hub. It can be quite the bottleneck during peak times, so brace yourselves for crowds. This is one of many reasons to get here super early. Next, you can choose between the ferry or the iconic monorail system. The ferry is the least time efficient of the two, but it is the more relaxing, with better views and also more convenient for those with strollers. The Walt Disney World monorail has 3 different lines, with the TTC being the hub that connects all 3. I'll start with the resort monorail line. When Disney World first opened, there was only 1 park, and the only hotels were the Polynesian and the Contemporary Resort, which surrounded the Seven Seas Lagoon. Today, the resort monorail line takes guests from these 2 resorts, as well as guests from the Grand Floridian over to the Magic Kingdom. The second monorail line is the Express line. This has the same route as the resort line, but travels directly between the TTC and Magic Kingdom. The third line is the Epcot line, which offers a direct service from the TTC to Epcot. If we head over now to Disney Springs, we have the water taxis that link the Port Orleans French Quarter, Port Orleans Riverside, Saratoga Springs and Old Key West with Disney Springs. Over in the Epcot resort area, you have the Friendship boats that connect the Beach and Yacht Club resorts, the Boardwalk Inn, as well as the Swan and Dolphin hotels with Epcot and Hollywood Studios. The more recent addition to Disney World's transportation network is the Skyliner, which offers an aerial route that connects these hotels with Epcot and Hollywood Studios. This is my personal favourite form of transportation, which is super quick with low wait times due to its high turnover, even during busy times. I also appreciate how you have 2 value resorts connected to this service, those being Pop Century and Art of Animation. Over in the Animal Kingdom area, unfortunately, this park nor its adjacent Animal Kingdom Lodge resort have any special transportation options. Guests instead have to rely on this bus system or their personal vehicles to access this park. Walt Disney World provides a vast array of dining options catering to various tastes and experiences, from quick service spots for on-the-go meals to immersive table service restaurants where characters come to greet you. In this chapter, I'll provide a guide to help you navigate your dining choices in each park. Most agree that the Magic Kingdom has the weakest dining lineup. The park appeals mostly to young families, so leans towards simple, fussy eater-friendly fare. The highlights in Magic Kingdom include Skipper Canteen in Adventureland. The Crystal Palace Character Buffet is fantastic for young families. Then there's the family-style menu at the colonial-themed Liberty Tree Tavern, which is a fan favourite. The most popular picks are the two castle restaurants, which are Cinderella's Royal Table and the Be Our Guest restaurant, some of the most difficult establishments to get reservations for inside Disney World. Epcot has what many consider to be the best lineup of restaurants, thanks to its World Showcase that offers an authentic and diverse culinary journey and cuisines from around the globe. Whether it's savouring sushi in Japan or fish and chips in the United Kingdom, Epcot delivers both in quality and variety. Its seasonal festivities, such as the Food and Wine Festival, further enhance the experience with special kiosks and menus. Hollywood Studios offers a unique mix of dining experience that tie into the movies and shows that inspire the park. From the immersive Galaxy's Edge quick service options to the nostalgic drive-in movie experience at the Sci-Fi Dining Theatre, the park excels in themed dining experiences that enhance the overall visit. However, not as impressive as Epcot, with a bit of a gap in the mid-range. The newest table service restaurant here is Woody's Roundup Barbecue in Toy Story Land, offering a colourful backdrop to a family-style menu of barbecue cuisine. Animal Kingdom stands out for its adventurous and exotic culinary selections. Restaurants like Tiffin's and Yak and Yeti offer upscale dining with a global twist. I'm a big fan of the quick service options here, in particular the Satuli Canteen in Pandora and Flame Tree Barbecue in Discovery Island. One issue with dining at Animal Kingdom is that the options may not appeal to those seeking more simpler fare, but I'll leave a list of top picks for fussy eaters for all 4 parks and Disney Springs in the description. As mentioned earlier in the video, many popular restaurants will get booked up very quickly. Some will go as soon as they're made available. You'll find that most table service restaurants won't be able to accommodate any walk-in guests, which makes it super important to get your reservations in as soon as possible. Guests are able to make their advanced dining reservations 60 days in advance. Availability will be released at roughly 5:45 Eastern. In the UK and Ireland, that would be 10:45 AM. As mentioned earlier, those staying at a Disney hotel get an advantage here, so you can make a reservation for the entirety of your trip with a limit of 10 nights as soon as you're within 60 days of your check-in day. Here's all the restaurants that are most difficult to get reservations for. Whilst timing might be tricky, the process of booking the reservation is very simple. You open up the My Disney Experience app. I prefer to just search for the restaurant that I want each time, which saves a lot of time scrolling. So I'll tap the search icon at the bottom. Let's go for the Be Our Guest restaurant. Then we'll scroll through this row of icons until we find the reserved dining option. We'll select our party size. As it's after 5:45 Eastern, all dates within 60 days are blue. Let's choose the latest we can. From this point, it's pretty intuitive. Moving on to mobile ordering, which offers a convenient way for guests to order food and beverages from various locations throughout the parks, Disney Springs and select Disney resorts using the My Disney Experience app, allowing you to skip the traditional queue lines. To use it, open the app. Again, I'll just search for the place I want, which is ABC Commissary, then side scroll to the order option. First, you'll need to pick a 30-minute arrival window. At this point, you can browse the menu and the rest is very straightforward. The app then tells you to find a place to relax whilst they prepare the order. You'll later get a notification to tell you it's ready and you'll be given instructions on which counter to pick it up from. New for 2024 is the return of the Disney World Dining Plan, which is a prepaid meal plan exclusive to on-site guests that provides credits redeemable for snacks, quick service meals, table service meals, or fine dining across Disney World. Here's the 2 types of dining plan that you can choose. Is it worth it? It can offer some savings, especially if you maximise your credits on higher priced menu items and character dining experiences, but does require careful planning and consideration to ensure you get the best out of it. The general consensus seems to be that in most cases, it won't save you money. There is currently a free dining plan offer available to Disney Plus subscribers booking a non-discounted 4-night travel package that you may want to check out, which I'll link to in the video description. In this chapter, I'll provide an introduction to Disney Springs, which is a vibrant outdoor shopping, dining and entertainment complex located inside Disney World and requires no ticket to enter. Very easy to access by car with complimentary parking in one of its several parking structures. Disney Springs is split into 4 neighbourhoods, which are the Marketplace, the Landing, the Town Centre and the West Side. I'll give you a quick tour of each. The Marketplace on the east side is designed with families in mind, boasting waterfront shops and eateries and the most popular merchandise stores. Its highlights include the Lego store and the Giant World of Disney store. For dining, the T-Rex restaurant is a popular pick for young families looking for a prehistoric dining experience, though securing a reservation can be a bit of a challenge. Introduced in 2016, the Town Centre neighbourhood presents a mix of boutique and flagship brands within its Spanish Revival architecture. To the west, there's the Coca-Cola rooftop bar, providing impressive views and a unique selection of Coca-Cola merchandise. The town centre stands out with its impressive quick service dining options, the Polite Pig being my personal favourite. The west side is a hub for entertainment, featuring venues like the AMC Dining Theatre and Splitsville Luxury Lanes. The Cirque du Soleil's Drawn to Life show is a standout attraction, combining Disney storytelling with incredible acrobatic performances. The House of Blues serves as both a music venue and a southern-inspired restaurant. Then there's the Aerophile balloon flight experience, which presents breathtaking views of Disney Springs from 400 feet in the air. Beneath this is the newly opened Summer House on the Lake restaurant, which offers seasonal American fare with lakefront views. Shops and dessert spots like Salt and Straw and Everglazed Donuts round out the west side offerings. Last but not least is the Landing, the main waterfront section of Disney Springs, accessed via bridges from the other neighbourhoods. Known for its picturesque waterfront views, containing by far the best restaurants and nightlife at Disney Springs. Inside the Landing is the Waterview Park mini amphitheatre. Gideon's Bakehouse is renowned for its oversized cookies, but be prepared for lengthy queues as they're in high demand. One of the dining highlights is the Boat House, where guests can enjoy a boat ride around Lake Buena Vista. So that wraps up my guide to Walt Disney World in 2024. Thank you for watching. Would love to hear your best tips in the comments. I will be doing some sort of pro tips video in the future for some more advanced insights. If you're interested in that or any other Disney World content, don't forget to subscribe.